Joining us now on the line to discuss the impact of the lockdown on municipalities is Khomotso Letsatsi, the Chief Officer of Municipal Finances at SALGA. A very good evening to you, Khomotso. When we look at some of the issues that you are complaining about, I mean, what you are saying here is that you are struggling to collect rates, but clearly this is not something new.
So definitely, Tammy, this is not something new. We come from a low base. Municipalities have been struggling for a while to collect from customers, households and businesses. In total, municipalities are owed over 181 billion in terms of uncollected revenue that has been billed and for services that have basically been consumed. But what we say is that the impact of COVID-19 and it basically adds additional pressure on the operational budget of municipalities over and above that. We actually come from a low base because households are losing income, disposable income is under strain for households. Some businesses have closed doors, they're not generating any income, and probably most of them will not be able to open doors even post the lockdown.
What you're saying, Khomotso, is that you've lost about 30% of your revenue. As municipalities, which are your key income-generating streams?
The key income-generating streams is basically property rates and taxes, the service charges through electricity, water and sanitation, and basically waste. So those are predominantly the main ones.
Now, when you talk about property rates and taxes, I'm just reminded of the situation with the KZN Public Works, the fact that they're owing at least about 30 municipalities rates for private property. How are you dealing with the fact that a lot of the time you're finding that provincial government is the one that's putting a lot of the pressure on municipalities?
Yeah, so obviously that's a big issue for the financial sustainability of local government. And as government as a whole, we should be leading by example. It's unacceptable that you find the same government that's basically owing municipalities over and above the households and businesses. Fortunately, there's task teams that are basically being put around, led by the Deputy President, where these issues have been thrashed out, because municipality is a very important sphere of government, because the service delivery facing sphere of government. So if municipalities actually fall apart due to financial sustainability and households not paying as well as government departments and the private sector, it then hampers their ability to basically deliver quality services.
Let's look at consumer behavior during this particular time. Yes, we have been under lockdown, but how has water and electricity consumption been?
Okay, so basically from a business point of view, the fact that people are not going to work, businesses have closed doors, there will definitely be a drop in that particular regard. But what we see happening is that when you have more people at home, then the demand from a household point of view actually increases, even if there's a drop on the other side. Because you have people at home basically consuming the services the entire day, as opposed to if they were going to work and they are out for a number of hours and then they're back at home basically late at night in a lot of instances. And also because in some areas, and especially in rural areas, there's a challenge in terms of infrastructure and the availability of infrastructure, and Department of Water, First Union had to come in and step in to actually roll out tankers so that communities that are able to basically wash their hands regularly in order to flatten the curve. So from that end, we've seen an increase or improved service delivery, especially in rural areas, but also more demand in terms of water usage.
There has been a call, Khomotso, by consumers to have their municipal rates cut during this time. Is this something that is under consideration? Look,
it will definitely be considered on a case-by-case basis. So what we're saying to our members of SALGA is that we understand and appreciate that the added difficulty from a credit control point of view is that in April, because that was a full month of lockdown, municipalities would not have been able to basically effect credit control. And also we had encouraged the municipalities basically not to cut off water and electricity, because that is very important in terms of flattening the curve around infection. So but when the lockdown is actually uplifted and we've moved to better levels, then municipalities will then come in and start basically effecting credit control, because if they don't, and if you look at the April numbers already, they've actually declined far much more compared to March, which is a reflection that municipalities were not fully operational, basically.
The 20 billion rand that you will be receiving, what are your priorities and how are you going to distribute that throughout the various municipalities?
Okay, so in terms of the 20 billion, is the appreciation that with all the directives that have been issued to local government and other tiers of government, it will put additional pressure on the operational budget of municipalities, and especially coupled with the fact that the overall revenue will decline and the inability of municipalities to collect as normal for the reasons that are basically already provided. So that is basically in the main to alleviate pressure on the part of the municipalities and basically empower local government to be able to respond to the interventions as per the directives that have basically been issued. And you would have picked up from the President's speech that in the main, the key focus areas obviously would have been the shelters for the homeless, the issue around food security, the issue around water provision, as well as appreciating the fact that the ability of municipalities to be able to collect revenue in this period will be negatively impacted.
Khomotso, before I let you go, will you be using part of that 20 billion rand to service the debt that you have? And I'm thinking now about the debt owed to the likes of Eskom.
No, definitely not. So it's definitely not meant for Eskom. There's different processes in government that are basically underway because Eskom is a very strategic SOE for the country. So it's important as well that we pay attention to the financial sustainability of the municipalities. And when municipalities basically consume services, they should be able to pay. But we know, as a representative or an advocacy body of local government, that the issues are very complex in terms of the municipal sector, the issues around electricity supply industry, but the principle that must be applied is that where municipalities are able to basically pay for the services that they had consumed, they must pay. And the same token, where households basically consume municipalities, they need to pay for those services. So if you have households and businesses, as well as some government departments, own municipalities to the tune of over 181 billion, it should then be expected that would affect the ability of municipalities to actually pay creditors on time.
All right.